What's good, everyone? Today I wanted to do a blind listening test of 4 samplers that have almost nothing to do with each other except for sampling. So let's go check it out. Alright, for this experiment I decided to use my MPC 4000, which I basically make all my music on, the MPC 60, which I love, of course the Octatrack, can't forget this guy because I use this guy in a live situation a lot, and just for kicks I figured I'd use the PO33 just to kind of see what it sounds like and kind of, I don't know, just for fun, right? And as a control I decided to use Ableton since I figured, that's kind of where I got my samples from anyway, was my computer. So since they're already there, throw them into their own track and make the same song on there and kind of use that as the default sound. And by no means is this a scientific type of comparison between the machines. This is just kind of for my own personal use. Figured I'd tape it, see my findings, show you guys, see what you guys thought. And yeah, not scientific, not crazy or anything, but I did kind of give myself some guidelines. And at the end of the day, I just wanted to see what these samplers sounded like from one another. Also, let's not forget to talk about bit rate, because this is probably what's going to drastically change the sound between each sampler. The MPC 60 Mark II, that guy is 12-bit. It is really crunchy and takes away a lot of sound quality, especially in the higher frequencies. The MPC 4000, this guy is 16-bit or 24-bit. You can pick and choose between the two. The Octatrack is a 16-bit sampler. The Pocket Operator 33, aka the Knockout, is a little less than 12 bits. I want to say it's 11 point something. I can't really figure out the true number behind it. And Ableton itself, of course, is basically whatever you want it to be. You can set 16, 24, and so on. You can change it around. And there's also plugins and whatnot that really let you change the sound up to whatever you want it to be. Alright, so the guidelines I gave myself for this experiment were to use the exact same samples, record the samples in with the same cable, record them in as close to unity as possible without clipping the samples, create the exact same house pattern that you're going to hear in a second, as well as no swing on any of the machines, and then basically taking that sound and recording it directly into an H4n, straight from the SD card, drag it into Ableton, and just play it back. The only editing that I've done is basically raised or lowered the volume to help the clips match all together. Also, don't forget, as soon as you hear your favorite, leave it in a comment down below to see if you matched up with anybody else. Alright, so on to the test itself. This gray section here and here are the samples as they are, just put within Ableton, as well as this, which is a simpler with the sample that I use for the chords. So the first part's going to be as everything basically with the chords and the drum sounds, and then the second part's going to be just drums. These are where you need to choose your favorite, and if you like simpler or Ableton itself, cool, you know, more power to you. You may already have Ableton. So let's check these out. Now just the drums, again Ableton. Down. I don't know what this one sounds like, but it definitely sounds different. Warmer maybe. Oh my god, this one sounds like a bass line underneath it. Alright, so what'd you guys think? Did you guys choose a favorite yet? If you didn't, pause it now. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to decide, and then we'll move on to the results. Alright, so here are the results. The first section, of course, was Ableton, like we mentioned, but sampler A was the MPC 60 Mark II. Sampler B in this case was the Octatrack. Sampler C was the MPC 4000. And sampler D, you may have already guessed this, was the PO33 or the pocket operator knockout. So this experiment surprisingly really opened up my mind. Like, I knew that it mattered on what machines and what bit rate everything was kind of running at would kind of change up the sounds, but I didn't realize how drastic it would be. For example, on the MPC 60, that sounded so big. It sounded the biggest to me. It sounded really beefy and everything, whereas the Octatrack, or listening to it directly in Ableton, kind of sounded like I was just getting started on the idea. It sounded a little more flat and transparent, which couldn't be a good thing because the MPC 60 sounds awesome, but I'd say something like the Octatrack or Ableton gives me a lot more flexibility in terms of where I want to take that sound and what I want to turn it into. The MPC 4000s, I was really surprised. I was hoping by default that I would choose that as my favorite since I use that all the time, but I kind of didn't. It definitely sounded warm, which was nice, but at times it almost sounded a little muffled. And of course the PO33, man, that thing was such a low crazy bit rate. I'm not sure if you guys caught that hum in there that was so I don't know what the word is, prominent inside the entire recording. It was kind of crazy. And if I had to choose one, honestly, I'd go with the MPC 60 just because it has that sound that I really like. Of course, all this stuff is super subjective, and like I just said, the MPC 60 sounds really good by default, but it leaves me no room to be flexible with the sound a little bit more as I would with the 4000 or the Octatrack or the Ableton one. And of course the PO33 is pretty hard to come out of that crazy bit reduction kind of sound that it carries. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun watching this video. I know I had a lot of fun making it. If you guys like this video, want to see more like them, I'd really appreciate the thumbs up. And if you got the time, a subscribe would be incredible. Thank you guys so much for the support. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. Yeah, you guys are awesome. And if you guys didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down and let me know in the comments down below how I can make this video better for you. But with all that aside, you guys know the drill, and that's to share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.